Unity, since going public, has been hurtling towards completely destroying its brand and viability for game developers, all while single-handedly becoming one of the most disingenuous game engine solutions available today. The choices made over the past couple years, let alone past couple days, have proven that the company has become completely disloyal and untrustworthy, throwing even their employees and the engine itself under the bus. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Unity, the people that make the Unity game engine, announced without any prior warning or notice in advance a sleuth of changes that would basically alter the way that Unity earns money from your games that are made in Unity, adding essentially thresholds to things like total game revenue and number of installs of the game, amongst any other licensing costs that you may eventually reach the threshold of too, as well as some other poorly designed changes. Not even Unity themselves have a single consolidated plan that isn't just fragmented across the internet with different conflicting points from Unity themselves. I know it's retroactive, it's not retroactive, it does count pirated installs, it doesn't count pirated installs, and that's not even asking how they capture these metrics with their supposed legal solution, how they enforce tracking these installs without breaking any sort of regulation or data protection act, let alone getting sued by the companies that brought you titles such as Pokemon Go, or I don't know, Genshin fucking Impact. If there's a game genre that doesn't want you taking its money, it's a gacha game. Get your popcorn, lads. Over the past couple years, Unity have actually been making some pretty amazing changes, like cancelling Gaia and laying off the majority of the developers working on the project. And the controversial merger with IronSource, you remember that? These new disruptive fees on top of the licensing costs required. And, oh yes, when the Unity CEO called everyone a fucking idiot. Following the announcement, it's actually been really humbling to see that this is the biggest backlash or movement we've had in the industry for a while, especially with all these different indie people uniting to the point where it's sending shockwaves down to the average gamer playing Peggle in their mum's basement. People across the indie scene, from people starting out learning how to use Unity to these big, massive, well-known game developers, to Cult of the Lamb. This guy's not playing around. It's safe to say there's an ocean of thoughts, emotions, and suggestions on what Unity could have done and where they should move forward next. Or backwards, to be honest. If you followed me for a while, or just been waiting for me to bloody upload, you'll know that for a long time now I've been on a hiatus developing a behaviour tree system in the Unity engine. Video coming soon, by the way. Effort, learning, and becoming proficient in a single engine we don't know is secure or has any of our best interests in mind. Other engines such as Godot, Unreal, and GameMaker, for God's sake, have done more to support developers actually using their engines with vast improvements, new feature complete tools built directly in the engine itself, than Unity has in the past few years. Yes, don't get me wrong, I know engines like Unreal have the benefit of Epic Games using the engine for games that they actually make, such as Fortnite. But Unity would have that too if they didn't cancel Gaia. Let's get it straight. It's not just these changes, right? It's not a closed loop. It's not these changes are the only thing that has started this backlash, this outcry. These changes have been a catalyst. It's the final straw. It's the final straw that broke the camel's back. It's what this means for trust, for loyalty to the developers that actually use the engine. the time and effort that people spend for their careers in their personal time on YouTube, off YouTube, in secret, in public. The time and effort developing a game filled with love and passion and for their career stability. When those in charge have your life's work by the balls and then begin dumping approximately 50,000 shares months, if not hours before the announcement, how can you trust that company? How can you trust a company that changes their terms of service to redact clauses that refer to people being allowed to use the terms of service of earlier versions of the engine? And then, if it wasn't bad enough, and then they try to remove the evidence from GitHub. They actively tried to hide the evidence on GitHub. You can't. 4K! 4K! Do you know what a bittersweet point is? If Unity now decide at any point now to reverse these changes, walk it back, oh, it didn't happen, gaslighters, it will now be because of large online personalities calling this out, echoing our frustrations, sharing our frustrations, the anger that we feel, the domino effect it'll have on the games that they love and the developers that they love too. Not because the developers themselves spoke out days after Unity made the announcement. Now, don't get me wrong. If it is because of that, and when it does happen, if it ever does, everyone will be grateful. Like, it needs to be echoed. But the bittersweet point is that it wasn't initially because of the people who use the tool. I just find it really bittersweet, you know? That's how disloyal they are. That's where the trust has gone. Out of the people that use the engine and into the popularity contest that is game engine competition. All developers will of course be extremely grateful. I'd be extremely grateful, I'm sure you will, I'm sure the people that make your favourite game will be, and I'm sure this guy would appreciate it too. But it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. To the people saying it's not as bad as people are making it out to be, how many times will you let a company fuck you over before enough is enough? Repeating technicalities like, oh, you need to at least earn $200,000, or oh, you need a certain install base before it even kicks in. It doesn't matter, that's not the point. Whether you make $0, $200,000, and meet various other thresholds that you need in order to make this fucking happen. This revenue change is a Unity game dev deterrent. A lot of projects won't meet the criteria. That's a fact, that is a practicality, and that a lot of other people have mentioned and echoed. A lot of projects will be non-profit. They just do. They just are. People love just making games, shoving them out there. They won't be affected. However, they will. Anyone who has a rightful desire to monetize their hard work and effort will double take using Unity in the future. It's just a deterrent from using an engine that let's not forget, Unity, Steam Greenlight killed the shit out of Unity. That splash screen's infamous. It's on everyone's fucking mind. Even today, they're finally getting away from it, and some EA guy waltzes in to the people saying just move engines. It's never that simple, unfortunately. Depending on how tailored a project is to the engine that it's being created in, whether it's too deep in development, whether anyone on the team even has knowledge of a competing engine, and the time and money it takes to skill up people to use the new engine, it could take months if not years, depending on the context. So to say just move engines is a bit disingenuous. It's one to be safe and supported and unaffected by these types of changes or changes that Unity have made in the past. But it's another to be completely ignorant of them and how they could potentially affect you or the industry as a whole in the future, especially when people's careers and livelihoods are literally being called into question. It's just an arrogant and silly point of view. It would be as disingenuous as Unity is being to defend or downplay Unity's actions over the years, unless you're just trying to keep your affiliate code active or get an invite to the next Unite. Yes, today it might not affect you, and it might not affect those around you, but unless sentiment changes in some capacity, you will be next. Do not be afraid to call out decisions that are grossly mishandled and decided. It's the only way to protect the thing that we love. Remember, people aren't angry with this situation for no reason. It's out of passion, it's out of love, it's out of respect for those around them, for creating a medium that means so much to everyone. Calling things out like this is to protect the things that we love and redirect companies in the right direction. Sometimes they just do. People make mistakes. Don't think I don't see that. But this is a pattern. This wasn't just one thing. It was one of many. And we need to call it out in order to get good games, proud devs, and satisfied players. We want to make games, not fucking argue. A couple hours before recording this video, Unity have had to shut their offices because of death threats. And simply put, it's just disgusting. If you have any part in giving death threats out, you have a sad, pathetic life. The only thing that this does, the only thing that sending death threats out ever does in these situations is take the conversation away from what we were trying to make it about in the first place. Now, the conversation's not about Unity, I've constantly been messing up. It's now about some boy in his mother's basement got really fucking pissed and sent out a sad email. It takes it away. Stop. What's the point? And off the back of this, don't at any Unity employee. Seriously, forward-facing staff will always receive the brunt of it all. It's just how it works. It's how companies are set up. Probably for a reason. But they didn't do anything to you. They're just trying to live. They're making a living themselves. And, they shouldn't face the repercussions of the guy sitting at the top, the guy that you're supposed to be annoyed at, the guy actually in control, and the guy actually responsible, John Riccatello, who's been beautifully destroying the company ever since he left EA and tried to get you to pay for ammo to reload your digital gun. John, I have one honest question for you. Who's the real fucking idiot? Twat.